Heyo, weirdos. It is Thursday. I'm Mackenzie, and I am joined, as always, by...
I'm Christopher.
And I'm Sarah.
And this podcast is for weirdos.
What are we doing?
Y'all, we've made it to, shockingly,
Yet another
another fourth episode
Another
special.
fourth episode.
Anyway, today we wanted to kind of do, this is going to seem like we've done this a lot. It's a little bit different than things we've normally done. We want to talk about some paranormal phenomena that have been going on recently.
Mm-hmm.
Not ghost stories, just general phenomena that is occurring not just with us, people outside of us that are experiencing a couple of cases that we've touched on here and there, but kind of that aren't solved, that we have a lot of theories on.
We don't have answers necessarily for a lot of this. It's also, some of it's going to be incredibly timely. Like, it's stuff that's happening for us right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's been happening for the past couple of months. We've kind of wanted to talk about it a couple of times, but not really had one we haven't recorded, and since it happened.
There's not a really good way to structure this because we don't have answers. We have a lot of theories.
Right.
And I think it will be and can be helpful just to sit around and think about and talk together. Because, like, 3 little brains working together is better than each one of our individual brains.
I will remind you that we do share a single brain cell. And
A
right
single
now
brain
it's
cell.
in the middle of the room.
It's in the middle of the room, and so we're equally sharing.
what
so
our
we're
brain
all
cell-
connected to it.
You know what the brain cell has? Our sparkle boy.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to
That is the brain cell.
That is the brain
That is
cell.
the brain cell.
So
Nobody knows about the sparkles.
they will when we start doing merch and shit. They
When we
will.
have merch, you will be like, "What is this?" And we'll be like,
Actually, they'll
Important.
know if
He's
you
in
look
our
at,
thing.
If you look
Right.
at the background of the tarot cards under or above,
"You know what?
you want to just tell the lore?
We're just going to talk about a little bit of podcast lore real quick because we're doing a roundtable discussion today. We're going to talk about personal shit that's happened to us phenomena-wise that's weird, that's connected to a larger phenomena. We're going to talk about some weird shit that happened literally last night in the house. We're going to talk about, like, some of this may connect to other cases, so we may talk about that. We're going to talk about just a lot of generic kind of paranormal pondering for the day. The sparkle guy. What are we talking about? So when we first were designing a logo,
We
let
also
me
had a
rephrase.
different name.
When we second were designing a logo for this podcast, because we've gone through 3 different names for this podcast. The first name was Squatch and Learn.
And it was going to be a really cute Sasquatch with a tree
And an eyeball
behind it.
So it's going to be a big eyeball.
The eyeball
Forest.
carries through. That's the thread.
Forest.
Yeah.
That was going to be the thing. And then we were like, we want to do more than just cryptids. So
Cryptids.
sticking with Squatch didn't really feel right. And then, like, our 3-person group chat is called the Boo Crew.
It has been for 6 years.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
who we are. We're the Boo
We're
Crew.
the Boo Crew.
So we were like, oh, we'll call our podcast the Boo Crew Podcast.
And then there's a horror movie podcast.
There's a horror movie podcast called that, so we couldn't call it that. But when we designed the
Boo
logo
Crew.
for the Boo Crew, Chris had found this artist who does these really interesting kind of off-putting art things that have these little 4-point star sparkles
Yeah.
that we were all really drawn to, like that shape.
Yeah.
It's very shapey. It's very like...
The shape was very like, every time we came to it, we're like, this shape feels like it has to be part of.
We were drawn to that shape.
Yeah. We all just really, really liked it. Felt good.
Felt good. Felt like...
Felt nice and spooky.
A good spooky because it's weird because it's 4 points. Stars are usually 5 or more, whatever. So it was just this odd kind of pointy shape. Take a square, push the sides in curvy-wise. Oh, yeah, it looks like that.
Oh, yeah.
But so that's the sparkle. And then when we made our original logo, we had 3 of those 4-point sparkles, and in each one of them was our eyeballs.
Hence
so
the
that's why
eyeball
there are
colors.
eyeballs inside of those. Mackenzie's has Mackenzie's eyeball, Chris's has Chris's eyeball, mine will have my eyeball. So when we switched our video format to this, Chris got this program that
but
makes
then
it replay
when
everything out.
I designed the album cover logo that you
Yeah.
see now that does not have a
The Sparkle
sparkle
Boy on
in
it.
it because at the time we couldn't make it work with
Right, with
The
the
name.
backgrounds and with everything.
We needed something.
and I I have
wasn't
never
working.
Listen, I have never claimed to be a graphic designer.
Right.
I do our social media. I've never claimed to be a social media manager. If you hate our social media, tell me so we can try to fix it. Christopher, however, is very talented.
Chris is good at graphic design. Shut up. You're good at graphic design. You're good at
And
art.
do you notice how I didn't say anything?
No, but you
I
made
just
a
made
face.
a face.
That's why I said shut up. Shut your
Yeah.
face up. Make that face inside your face, not
And
outside.
when Chris brought up us changing our video format to the one you've seen the last handful of episodes, also for Sarah's sanity because she was gonna lose her mind.
Yep,
The editing is going to be so much easier. I hope. I don't know.
Chris went.
it should be.
Chris went. He sends us these images, and Sarah and I are like, "Oh, these look so good." And he goes, "What's a tarot card that each of you identify with?" We know Sarah's. It's the Fool.
Yeah.
He's present in the room.
I don't really have one. I don't do a lot with tarot, so I went pick one that you think I've like matches my energy.
Right.
And so Chris sends us these 3 tarot cards and then a screenshot of the layout of the screen as you see it now.
That you're seeing.
But it just had Chris in it because he was playing with it.
Yeah, it was 3
It was
different
3
shots of me.
Chris's. Imagine.
And Sarah and I were like, "Oh my gosh, these are so fun." And Sarah went, "Oh, Mackenzie's has the little sparkle." And I went, "All of them have the little sparkle." And then we went, "Christopher, did you design these?"
I went, "Did you design these tarot cards?"
And he
Chris
went,
"Yeah."
Yeah. And I went, "Did you do the background?" He went, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh my God, you are so talented."
What a good little artist. A little artiste.
Don't let him fool you. He's going to try to tell you he's not. He is.
A good
it
little
looks
artiste.
amazing. So this is finally, I think, truly like a combination of the logos we've been trying to pull off.
Right.
Maybe someday we'll change the album cover
Sometime.
for Spotify.
We'll
Maybe
figure
we
something
won't.
out.
We'll
Who
see.
cares? Our In Our Hearts brand of the podcast is the
sparkles.
Sparkle Boy.
Yeah.
The actual brand is some fog and the name of the podcast.
And the Sparkle Boy may end up on, t-shirts, stickers, stuff like that once we have
When
the
we have
ability to
merch.
start producing merch.
Yeah.
yeah. He's our mascot.
He's our mascot.
Yeah.
If nothing else, if we can't ever work him into an official logo, he is our little. He's in our hearts, our little mascot. I know.
in our hearts and our minds.
On these, I did our cryptids. I could have done Sparkle Boys, but
Right. But then we would have had to design the
And that's
Sparkle
a
Boy
lot.
instead of finding clip art.
Right.
So anyway, that's kind of podcast lore update as to why we were excited about
Sparkle.
Sparkle Boy.
Sparkle Boy in the tarot cards.
Right.
Yeah.
But so just so everybody knows the tarot cards. So obviously you have the Fool,
Le Fou.
which is above Sarah.
which is above Sarah. Do
Between Chris and I.
you want to talk about the Fool's meaning real
Yeah,
quick?
so the Fool, in the tarot deck, there's the Major Arcana. The Fool is the first card of the Major Arcana. He is actually numbered 0, or sometimes isn't numbered at all. And if there's a couple of different ways to interpret him, or the card in general. But usually it is seen as, like, if you take the Major Arcana through the Minor Arcana, it tells a whole story of a single journey, and the Fool is the character walking that journey. So he's like this representative of, like, innocence and youth and kind of not like naivete, but just like not necessarily knowing where you're going.
Mm-hmm. And openness.
And openness. Like being open to whatever the journey ahead is, and you are going on a journey if that card comes up. And I always, I love jesters, and so like some of the art of him is of a jester, but the like classic art of the Fool is just a youth, usually with like a bindle. Stepping off a cliff, like taking a leap of faith. And usually he has a little dog with him. And the one behind Chris, he has a cool frog playing a lute. And he is more of the like jester archetype than there's one on the cryptid board behind me that you probably can't see because it's in amongst all the other pictures. But it is that classic youth
with a bindle
taking a step off of like the leap of faith into whatever the next thing is. And so I've always kind of, as somebody who's never really had like a set thing that was the next thing, that has always been a card that I resonated with.
Yeah.
And I like the physical imagery of it being either like a young person or a jester or some, like it's a silly little guy.
Yeah.
Who's just ready for whatever's coming next.
Mm-hmm.
So
do we want to talk briefly about Z's card?
so there were a couple of different cards we picked for her.
Yeah, we did.
I'm
pick
not
one.
gonna. I don't.
Me and Chris kind of like narrowed it down, and I initially, because Mackenzie is not necessarily, Chris is the most skeptical of us, but Mackenzie is the most unsure of like what like not necessarily where her stance is around some of the stuff, and not in a bad way, but I was like kind of that uncertainty. So I was like, the moon is a card of uncertainty in the tarot. So I was like, maybe that. And then I said, maybe this. And Chris said he was thinking either that or
like the Pentacles. I didn't, at the beginning, I was like, I'm not sure which Pentacles card gives the most Z energy, but the Pentacles are all very grounded cards.
Yeah.
And
they're very material because they're like about like wealth and money. So they're very like in the realm of earth.
Yeah. Which at the very least for me, like is the like I feel super grounded around you.
Aww.
And like you are a very grounding person. And so I immediately was like, oh, Pentacles is a good suit to look at.
Right.
And so I went through and
Is Pentacles earth?
I think so.
Yeah, because swords are wind, cups are water, sticks are wood, or wands are wood or fire.
Yeah.
Wands are fire or staves or whatever. And so yeah, pentacles would be earth. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Are you an earth sign? What is Virgo?
An earth sign.
Yeah.
Um
We're just like, yes.
And so I went through, and 7 of Pentacles, I don't remember exactly what 7 of Pentacles means, but that was on my list of things to be like, maybe this one.
Right.
But I ended up landing on the Queen of Pentacles.
Which is the mom friend.
Yeah, it's the mom friend card.
And you know what I am?
The mom friend.
The mom
But
friend.
it really is like it's a card of like nurturing
And caring
like
and
caring and like helping others to flourish and like, you know, building people up, and that is something Mackenzie does not do that for herself, but she does do it for others. So
Yeah.
it is that like that card of giving yourself to help others kind of bolster. And we looked at that one, or the ace were the other ones that
The
we looked
ace,
at for
yeah.
her. But we were
The
I
7
think
and the ace.
we were all like, yes, queen.
Yeah. And I chose for myself the 3 of Cups.
Talk about that cup.
The 3 of Cups is a card about community, about friends being together and sharing together. And it is a card that I just really resonate with. And I have myself a collection of 3 chalices that I have.
Right.
And so at some point I was like, oh man, I'd really like to purchase more like chalices for myself like these, because each of the 3 of them are different. And then so I was like, oh, I wonder what like 4 of Cups is. And then I looked at the rest of the cup suit and I was like, actually, I don't want to get any more. I think I'm going to stick with 3.
3 is a good 3 in the tarot usually is like right before it starts tipping into something else.
Right.
Because 3 is like the first shape. So like you have 1 and then you have 2, which is good because that's a pair, but then you have 3 and that's when you get a triangle, and that's like usually a really stable card before you start tipping into the lack of stability.
Yeah, because I think 4 of Cups is normally either 4 or 5 is normally a person with like either 3 or 4 cups that have all spilled but still has one that they're not paying attention to.
That's 5.
That is still full and fine.
Yeah, 5 is you have 3 spilled in front of you, but you have 2 full behind you that you aren't, like, you're not paying attention to what you have, you're paying attention to what you've lost.
Right.
The 5s, this is not a tarot episode. The 5s of tarot are usually, weirdly, the most, like, kind of shaken. Unstable in each one because of the way that the suits build.
Yeah.
Because they kind of go from like this nebulous in the heavens concept of whatever the cards are, of what the suit is. Like the ace is usually representing like something from the heavens of that thing, down through like the 10 is usually the most grounded of them. And so you get 3 and you're like, oh, this is like the nice, like we're getting stuff from the heavens, it's giving us stuff, it's community, it's whatever, and then you start slowly going downhill into like humanity, and then you get to 10 and it's usually like resolved in some way.
Yeah. And so while sitting and like making these cards and like kind of meditating on it, I was like, oh, gosh, if I were to pull this in a reading, like for somebody, for us, for somebody, like whatever, for myself, I'd be like, wow, this is a really good pull.
Our 3 cards
as a
cards
reading together as a reading. Like it has the Fool and the like joyous anticipation of whatever's coming next. It's got a firm community built up around it that is built on friendship, is built on sharing, and it has the nurturing of the project.
It's a podcast.
And so I think it's really
we did
cute.
a tarot reading for our podcast.
Yeah, that we
just in our cards that we picked.
Right, that we kind of like did a really nice reading for ourselves, and now we
Look
can
at us.
stick with these cards for as long as we feel they're applicable, and then we can move on to other cards if we ever feel the need or want to change them. But I thought it was super neat. I thought that'd be some fun podcast.
It is
Lore.
and it's interesting because I have like 2 cards that I really resonate with: the Fool, and then also in my main tarot deck, my like chaotic tarot deck, my card that when I like laid all the cards out and I was like, which of these cards do I'm like that one? It's the Knight of Swords in that deck, but it's a little corgi. And it was like, oh, it's a puppy. And then I like pulled that card and I read its interpretation in the book and I was like, yeah, this one also is like a representation of me.
Yeah.
The Fool is more of like a representation of kind of life and like what I hope to bring to life. It's more of a aspirational than an actual like I feel like it currently represents me. It represents who I want to be and who I strive to be. The Knight of Swords is just a silly little guy who's ready to like fuck shit up. He's like, let's go. I'm here to help. I'm here to help, and I'm here to... Do you need me to fight somebody?
You're like...
I'm here to fight you. Fight for you, not you.
Yeah.
It's like Circa Duggan.
Literally, like, it has the Circa Duggan from Harry Potter energy. Like, who am I fighting? How about ye? Like, it has that energy, and I was like, that's the card that
Gotta
I like.
whack them all.
Yeah, and if I'm doing a reading and that card comes up, I'm like, okay, this is about me. Like, this is for me for sure. So anyway, that's the Sparkle, guys. And yeah, he put all of our sparkles in there, and I love it.
Yeah, there's at least 1 sparkle per card.
You have 3 because you have
3 on mine because it looked really nice and balanced that way.
Right. Continue the triangle.
Yeah.
Continuing the triangle is always a good idea.
I have 1 big sparkle.
Yeah. You have 1 big sparkle.
I have one that's the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the moon. Or a star.
Or a star.
The North Star, perhaps.
Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows? It's a star.
He's going in a direction. He's looking at that star.
So do you want... We have a list on the whiteboard. So if we're looking over like that, we have a couple of things that we know we want to talk about and make sure we get to.
Start.
Do you want to go in order or do you want to go with the thing that happened yesterday first? First things first, I have to do a quick check.
Oh, yeah. Quick check.
Because yesterday, unrelated to the podcast, I had a phone call. I had a missed call. And that missed call left me a voicemail. It was while we were recording, and so I went, why did they leave me a voicemail? So I listened to the voicemail. It was a pocket dial. They left me a voicemail for 2 minutes. And then I deleted that voicemail. And then my voicemail box goes, end of messages or no other messages, and then goes to the voicemail menu, which is crazy because a couple months ago, Chris was driving home from an SCA event and called me on my phone. And I think I talked about this in the Christmas story.
Yeah. Also, no, just to reiterate, if I'm calling Moose,
it's because something weird is happening.
It's the red phone.
It's the red phone. This is the call me because paranormal shit is happening to Chris. That's the only time you will call me.
Yes. There's something fucking weird going on.
Right.
Somebody else needs to know right now.
Right. Which I think all of my friends now know is the reason. If you're calling me on my phone, you better be seeing a ghost. Or an alien.
Actively.
Or something weird. Also, I have exactly one friend, you know who you are, who I will answer when she calls, and that is Amber. Because we've been friends for so long, and we used to talk on the phone all the time, so I'm used to it. If she calls me, I'm like, this is stupid, what? And usually she's driving on a road trip, and she's like, look at this weird thing. Because it's on like a FaceTime sort of situation. So anyway, Chris calls me. Phone rings. Says on my phone, scam likely. I do not pick up. Because it says scam likely. It doesn't say Chris. It says scam likely.
Yeah, and I'm in your phone.
I go, yeah, Chris is in my phone as Chris, not as scam likely. That would be a stupid thing for me to call my friend. Funny, but stupid.
Funny, but...
So I take my phone. I go, I don't know who that is. I flip it. I put it face down. We were in the living room. I then get a voicemail. And the way that my voicemail notifications pop up on my phone is it just says voicemail and then the number to call for my voicemail service. Which I could also just call my own phone number, but it is like, here's where the server where your voicemail is stored. Call this number. So it doesn't say who the voicemail's from. So I'm like, I bet you it's just a robot because it was a scam likely. So I call it, and it's Chris going, hey, you told me to call you if I'm seeing something fucking weird, and I'm seeing something fucking weird. Tells me this crazy-ass story. I go, what the fuck? Save. Right? Because I want to talk about it on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So I save the voicemail, and I forget about it, basically. I don't ever remember, like, whatever. It was fine. He forgets that he calls me. The other hilarious thing is, in my missed calls, when he called me, it, in my missed calls,
Then
says Chris.
Yeah, not scam likely.
Not scam likely. It says Chris. You called me on October 27th. I just scrolled through, and that's when you called.
Yep.
And the fun thing is, if it was a scam, it will say missed call from scam likely in my phone record. So yesterday, I called my voicemail to listen to this other voicemail that somebody left me. I delete that voicemail because it was 2 minutes of nothing. And then my voicemail says that my box is empty. I don't have any saved messages. I haven't gotten a voicemail since you called me, other than this voicemail yesterday.
Yeah.
And I have gone in and re-listened to it since you called, since it was left. I have gone back and re-listened to the saved message. And every time it goes, do you still want to save this message? And every time I save it again because I'm like, I need to share this with the class.
Right.
So I'm going to cut this out, but I'm going to real quick call my voicemail and see if it's still, it was deleted.
Yeah.
So I'm going to see if it's still deleted.
You have no
What if you
messages
don't
in
want
your
all of them?
mailbox.
I have no messages in my mailbox.
Which is crazy because that one was saved. And
I did save it.
We all know it was saved.
I saved it because I listened to it like last month. Because we talked about it very briefly in the Christmas episode. And so, not last month, it was November when we recorded. But when the Christmas episode came out, I was like, oh, I'm going to make sure it's in my voicemail again. So like that day after Christmas, like last week, I pulled it up. Last week for us, a long time ago for you.
A long time ago for y'all.
Call voicemail, and I go, I'm like, great, the message is in here. Cool. And I go, boop, save. And it goes, message saved. And I was like, great. Hang up. And Mom was like, what was that about? And I was like, I was making sure that message that Chris left me in October was still there. And she goes, okay, gone.
Gone now.
It was the thing that Chris saw was on the way home from that SCA event was like weird lights. And then it looked like a building was on fire, was what you described.
Yeah, like it looked like it was like reflecting a fire.
Right.
Like it was weird.
Yeah. And
like,
then
there was a glow emanating from it, but like also like it was reflecting it off of glass, but it did not look like the fire was inside the building.
Right. And it was freaking him out enough that he was like, I have to call you about this.
And I had another friend in the car.
Right, Leaf was there.
Leaf was there. And they also saw it.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just me making shit up in my head as I was driving going, what the fuck is that? So.
Crazy.
It was crazy. And the voicemail's gone. So
Yeah, voicemail gone.
And what was funny was
Something from that
something
voicemail.
did not want me to know about that.
Yeah.
Because it said scam likely on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
And now the voicemail's been deleted off my phone. Which is not the first time that something has been deleted off of my phone and I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Because the pictures from that one black and white picture from the ghost tour was deleted out of my like camera roll.
Yeah.
Off of my phone. And the only reason that we still have it is because I sent it to my cousin. Mackenzie had it. Well, it was saved in my message to Mackenzie.
Right.
So I was able to re-download it back onto my phone. Which is fucking weird. So my phone has been tapped into by the aliens. The aliens
Living there.
are
They're living
in
your phone.
They're inside this.
Do you mind aliens?
Can I have this back, please? Get out of here.
Can that belong to not you?
Can this be mine? Is it because Fox Mulder is the background of my lock screen?
Sorry.
Also, it is a version of Fox Mulder as the tarot card, the Fool.
Good.
To loop it back to that. So yeah, that was like a really weird thing that we discovered yesterday that voicemail
Sarah
had been
was
deleted.
so
Disappeared,
upset.
yeah.
She like finishes listening to the other voice.
It happened while we were recording another episode because the person called me and I was like, what is this about? And so I listened because something else was going on where we were already like not actively
talking.
Yeah.
doing the episode. And I went, I need to listen to this voicemail. That's really weird. I don't know why she left me a voicemail. Listen to the voicemail. And then it goes, there are no other messages. And I went, what do you mean there are no other messages?
Like, Like the hell there isn't.
And I got really upset. I jumped up and wrote voicemail ? On the board.
Yeah.
So we would remember to talk about it today.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, what the fuck is happening? It's like segue into the next topic. It's like we kind of feel like you're a little bit being pinpointed.
Something.
This very much feels like I also am being
So-
like, oh, weird, that picture got deleted off my phone. What was in that didn't want to be shared?
Yeah.
It's very much like, oh, you have information that you can't share with other people. We're going to make sure that you are going to look crazy if you try to share this with other people because you don't have any proof.
Right.
We're going to
So-
delete the pictures. We're going to delete the voicemail.
So we talked about it in Christmas Spirits. Chris's drone sighting.
Yeah.
This
Right.
is all very timely for us. Since then,
Right.
Sarah and I have gotten multiple, I love you,
Mm-hmm.
rambling, panicked Snapchats about other blimps or drones.
Drone things. Well, the blimp was just funny.
The blimp was funny.
The
'Cause
blimp
I was
was
like, oh my god, it was UFO.
the
Oh my
blimp-
god. Oh my god.
the blimp was UFO. Aliens confirmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, we have gotten more than one. I saw it again. I saw something else.
And the thing that's really
And
weird
I
about
went-
it.
And I went, Christopher, I need you. What if you're being prepared?
Yeah,
for an
Mackenzie
encounter
is
episode.
concerned that Chris is being prepared for
An
a
abduction.
An
an abduction or a at least visitation experience.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
contactee
A
experience.
contactee experience. Which we'll have to talk about. Well, the Yule.
Yeah, we
In a
need to talk.
second.
We'll talk about that in a second.
But so like Chris tells us about the drone thing, right?
Yeah.
The thing that he saw that he's like, I don't know what it was. It was a weird UFO. It looked like a drone. Was
And when
one
he
of-
got here,
he
'cause it
kept
was-
telling us it looked like a drone.
Because he showed us the picture the last time we recorded, the original picture.
yeah,
Right.
And
the
was-
original drawing.
The original drawing.
And was still and was still like kind of panicky.
Shaken.
kind of
about
forget
it.
about
Yeah.
because before we recorded, or was it between when we recorded last and now,
when
when we discovered the yoga ladies?
it was
After.
after that.
Great.
It was
Okay,
between
so-
the last one and now.
My mama goes to yoga, and the yoga ladies, as I affectionately call them, one day we're all talking about these drones. And my mom comes home, and I had told mom about the thing that Chris had seen,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, Chris saw this weird because I got the Snapchat while I was sitting on the couch next to my mom. So I went, shut up, Chris sent me a Snapchat. Be quiet for a second so I can listen to what he said. And he tells us the story of this weird aircraft that he saw, and mom was like, weird. Mom immediately erases that from her brain, right?
Right.
Not important information for her to keep in there. I'll keep hold of it. She doesn't need to remember that.
Yeah.
So she goes to yoga, comes home, and is like, the ladies at yoga are talking about these weird drones that are being sighted all over the place. And I was like, drones?
They're seeing what now?
And she was like, yeah, they're seeing drones that are like the size of cars. And I was like, I wonder if that's what Chris saw. And mom
Yeah.
went, oh my God, I completely forgot that Chris had seen something. And so they were talking about the ones that have been seen in New Jersey, and then apparently they're being seen here. Like some of the yoga ladies were seeing them. The next day, we go to a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Or like a couple of days later, because we went on Sunday, to see the movie.
Yes.
Yeah. So on Friday, mom talks to the yoga ladies. We go to a movie. I grab Chris by his shoulders and go, other people are seeing these things. They're everywhere. And by everywhere, I meant New Jersey and here. But that's everywhere.
Yeah. It's
And before they let them two go off on their crazy person little ranty rants.
Look, we're crazy.
oh,
I
I know I'm
genuinely am
crazy.
like-
I feel crazy.
I was at work. I talk about nonsense things with my coworkers.
Uh-huh.
One day, my boss brings up the drone thing, and he says, "I think," because I went, "Yeah, it's aliens." Because
Of course.
well, and I was being a little bit bratty about it because
Yeah.
like that's how I exist.
As you must.
And he was like, apparently, if it is like some military helo, there's discussions in the like military complex discussion of like if this is a military aircraft, of it being drones that can operate like helicopters and carry people, which would make sense for
they're
why
passenger
carryable
carryable aircraft.
which would make sense for the shape, and then why you have chopper
Yeah.
rotors in the drone to make the weight variable. Kind of like the design of Shield's like big
The helicarrier.
Yeah.
the helicarrier.
But not that big.
But not that big, like smaller than that.
Car sized.
Car sized. And he went, I think there's a flight test track here going out to the Gulf of Mexico and in New Jersey going out.
Going out the sound.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Which would make sense because once you're over open ocean,
Who cares?
who cares?
Yeah.
Nobody's like if you're high enough, you're not going to get picked up by ship radar.
Right.
They're not looking in the sky for other shit. They're looking for
realistically, yeah.
They're looking for ships on the water. They're not looking for things in the sky.
And here, like we talked about in your episode, Chris literally is at like the epicenter for seeing any weird experimental aircraft.
Yeah.
2 airports, Ellington Field, NASA,
And NASA.
are all spitting
Within
distance
yeah.
from Chris's house.
Yeah.
Like, we all live in a very odd area where that kind of stuff, a lot of people are going to ignore it. They even if they see it, they're like, oh, NASA's testing something. Like, they're not going to think about it.
Yeah.
And, like, where I used to live in Waco was where down the road from where SpaceX was testing, because SpaceX was in McGregor. And so we would hear explosion noises that were rockets taking off,
Yeah.
and we would just be like, oh, it's just SpaceX. Like, at a certain point, a population that's constantly surrounded by that stuff is no longer going to look at it.
Yeah.
So if it is government, military, whatever, and maybe it's spying on us, we don't know. Like, very
Right.
conspiracy, like, we're...
Could be anything.
Me and Chris are both out of our fucking minds about this, and Mackenzie is again being the like grounded, like trying to like bring us back to reality.
I'm like,
we
please,
are 2
please.
balloons full of helium drifting off into the distance,
I
and
am the
Mackenzie
lead
has
brick,
both of us
like-
by the ankle. Like, come back down here. Let's think
Yeah.
of this logically.
Like I'm all about if this is extraterrestrial, if it is aliens, cool. Why?
Yeah.
right, what's
happening?
going on?
But also and I think because of the amount, because the other thing is, Sarah and I have not encountered these.
Right.
At all.
Well, I saw something weird on the way home from Ewell that was simply a light. It was not an airplane. It was not a helicopter. It was not a known aircraft light configuration that I am familiar with. I know, like, what airplane lights look like. I've grown up next to airports my entire fucking life. Like, I've always pretty much lived near an airport. I know what airplanes look like at night. I know what helicopters look like at night. I've lived near where helicopters are for enough of my life that I know what they look like at night. Now, because it was nighttime, this could have just been a regular ass, like,
Drone.
like
Personal
private
drone.
personal drone, because I could not tell the range nor bearing of this light phenomena. It was in the sky and it was moving, but I don't know how far away from me it was. I don't know how big it was. I don't know how fast it was going. Like, I have no other information other than I saw a light that was not a plane nor a helicopter in the sky at nighttime in roughly the area of your apartment.
Yeah.
Like, it was on my way home, driving on 45
Yeah.
south on that side of the highway. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, who the fuck knows what that is?
Right. Who the fuck knows what that is?
So,
But-
am I in my heart being like, I saw one of these things? No, but I did see a weird
You
thing
saw something
while
weird.
this is going on that I don't know what it was.
I
Yeah.
have not seen anything.
But so,
yeah, Mackenzie hasn't seen anything. And I also am not going to claim, like, I saw one of these things to be part of it. I'm going to be like, I saw something weird in the fucking sky while all of these other things are going on.
right. And so the yoga ladies are seeing things.
The yoga ladies are seeing things. People in my neighborhood are seeing things.
People
my
are
mom
posting
is seeing
things
it
on Facebook.
On Facebook.
So like people in the area in like local groups are posting about who's seeing these weird drones. What the
Right.
fuck is going on?
Right.
And
it's funny because there are people posting about it who are talking about these like big car-sized
Big
drones,
drones.
and people in the comments are like, somebody probably got a drone for Christmas, and they're like, no,
and
you
it's
don't
like,
understand.
No, you don't understand how big this was. And the same thing is happening up where my parents live on the other side of Houston.
Right.
My mom saw a weird drone after I saw mine. And so, like, people up there are posting on local pages up there going, what kind of drones? What's going on? And the comments are always full of people being like, we live in Texas. You got a gun, you can shoot the drone. And it's like, do you understand how big this drone is?
Yeah, this isn't like some kid's drone that's trespassing on your property trying to look at your naked wife. Like this
Right.
is these are car size.
They're big drones.
Airplane size. These are big drones. Like if they are what Mackenzie is saying they are able to hold people inside them.
Yeah, like if
that theory holds, which it makes sense that theory exists because they are big enough to carry people.
Yeah, and like so
reasonably.
We're calling them drones. What I saw definitely had a cockpit on it.
Right.
It had a place
We're
for
calling
people
them
to sit.
drones because they look like a commercial drone, like the drone that you can go buy at Target. It has like a couple of rotors and then a body to it, which is what like the drone you can get for your kid looks like. It's gonna have 4 little propellers that are fans that go.
Right, and so like that is what we're calling it because it is contextually.
It is the closest
similar.
thing to what it looks like, but they do look like they might be manned.
Right. Or at least what I
or
saw.
Or at least can carry people.
Yeah.
They might be piloted elsewhere, but carrying people.
Right.
Entirely possible.
Who knows?
Piloted from outer space, carrying aliens.
Maybe. But, you know, it feels insane to try to, like, look anything up because anything that I've been able to Google is bringing up, like, drones to buy for your kids for Christmas, and it's
right.
wrong. That's not what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Or like airplane crashes, and it's like, nope, that's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And so I'm having a lot of trouble trying to find things, but like my mom being on all of the local pages, anytime she sees anything mentioning drones, she's screenshotting things and sending them to me.
And every time,
the comments.
and my mom, Chris is getting also them through my mom because my mom will send me the Facebook link and then I just put it in our group chat. Like, hey, look at this, another drone thing.
Yeah.
Now there's the really, really weird connection that we made at Yule. So Chris, first of all, was talk about just hearing them.
Yeah. So I was at a park doing a SCA practice. And so we were outdoors. Because the sun sets early because it's the winter. It was dark outside. So it was clear skies. There were no clouds in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see stars, but I could not see things that were in the sky.
Right.
I could see some planes landing at one of the small airfields nearby the park.
Mm-hmm.
But I could not see anything else. And so amidst fighting and like between bouts, I kept hearing a sound like a helicopter that had like a fluctuating engine noise over it. So it was like a
right
with a like ooh over it.
Right. So it was
like,
it was the combination of like airplane sound and helicopter sound almost.
Yeah.
Because helicopters are that like fan noise, and planes are usually like a sort of situation. I hope that worked for them.
I'm hoping these noises are coming through fine on the mics. But it was a weird like changing hum, like almost like when you're vacuuming, and it goes away and comes back and goes away and comes back. But the sound was coming from the same place until it wasn't. Like it would be in a place, be solidly in that place, and then disappear. It would like move away.
So the fluctuating of the sound was not because of the sound traveling. It was the nature of the sound.
It was the nature of the sound.
Got it.
And so I heard it no less than 5 separate times that night at practice where I was there for 2 hours. And there were times where I could very clearly hear more than one. I did not ask anybody else at practice because people were in the middle of fighting.
Right.
And so I was not going to stop a fight to be like, do y'all hear that? What is that?
Do you hear that noise? Yeah, that's not a hold moment.
No. And so like that, and there were times while I was in the middle of a fight and I was hearing it and I was like, I cannot stop
I need to
moving.
do it. I need to practice.
I need to practice. I need to also not get hit.
Right.
Because if I drop guard to like figure out what the fuck is going on, I'm gonna get hit. I'm gonna get hurt. Not like bad. I'm not getting injured, but I'm gonna ouch.
You're gonna get ouchy, get bruised.
I'm gonna get ouchy. But I don't know. Crazy
noises. And then we go to our Barony's Yule,
which is the couple like 3 days after this.
Literally 3 days after it. Because that was on Thursday. Yule was on Saturday.
Yeah.
We are at Yule. Our theme at Yule was Cryptid Christmas. So we were all dressed up like cryptid things. We've talked about this recently. Oh, yes, we did. In the Chupacabra episode.
Yep.
Because Brian was Chupacabra.
Chupacabra.
Was one of his costumes. His other costume was Jesse of Team Rocket, except for it was Team Locket. He was James. Did I say Jesse?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was James. He was the boy one. His wife was the girl one.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, I dressed up as Mothman, medieval Mothman,
Yep.
for this thing. I had my regular medieval tunic, my pants, and I had a hood that I made into a Mothman hood. It's very cute. We'll post pictures.
I think we did post pictures for Christmas.
Oh shit!
I
we
posted
did.
a picture of you.
Okay,
guys.
we'll post another one for this,
Yeah.
because it's relevant to the conversation. There was a costume contest. For the costume contest, everyone did like a catwalk, like runway moment. I just walked straight at the camera and then walked off because I was like, Mothman doesn't do anything weird. And then someone went, you should have like flapped,
It was
like you were
Diego.
flying. It was like you should flap, and I went. But that's the thing. Mothman doesn't flap. He like takes off straight up into the air like a helicopter. So then I stuck my arms out, squatted, and leaped, and everyone thought it was really funny. And Diego was like, "You should have like, you should make a noise." And I was like, "I'm not." Like he makes like helicopter noises, and I said that, and then me and Chris like
Made eye contact across probably just about this distance.
right. It was not that
And
far.
we're like,
we both went, "Oh my god."
holy shit.
Continuing the like, are you being prepared for some sort of contactee experience?
Right.
Is it fucking Mothman? Is it another goddamn UFO flap?
Yeah, is this some sort of flap? What's going on? Because we did talk about this.
I can't call John Keel. He's dead.
I fucking wish we could.
So yeah, we like had this moment of like, oh my god, is this somehow tied into
Mothman,
the larger phenomena as a whole?
Yeah.
And then
So we talked about like the idea that maybe this is a flap.
maybe
Because
this is a flap.
Maybe this is a flap because we've talked about the psychic ripple effect
Right.
of like an event happening, and then both before and after that event happening, there is this psychic ripple where people experience higher
strangeness. Like events of high strangeness seem to surround those kinds of events.
Yeah.
Like the Silver Bridge collapse.
And
Mothman.
so, I had forgotten what the day was that I saw the drone that I saw, the thing that I saw. It was election
night.
I was going over to my friend's house to work on a project, so we would have something structured to do while the election was happening, because scary times.
Also, you know what else I just realized?
What?
Related to that? Like related to presidential stuff?
Huh.
Jimmy Carter died.
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter did die.
That's like that. Say what you will about him as a president. That is a big deal for this country. Like losing him. He was a huge humanitarian.
Mm-hmm.
He did a lot of good post-presidency. He had about 50 years after his presidency to just be a good American.
Right.
We did talk about that at Yule of being like, oh my God, you saw the first one on election night, and then all of this started coming out, and then you're hearing sounds. Maybe it's Mothman. Maybe election night was the thing, and because everything happened after that. But also, it's like, but I wonder if this had something to do with it.
It could be Jimmy Carter. It could be the inauguration. It could be any.
We don't know.
It could be anything.
Right.
But
it could be completely unrelated to that.
Yeah, it could be completely unrelated, and it just happened at the same time.
Right.
But it's
You look like you want to say something.
We sound insane.
Oh, I'm fully aware that we sound insane. I feel insane, Mackenzie.
Here's the problem. This conversation is why the thing that's up there, like, this is what. So one of the other things we're going to talk about is Hellier, which we've like briefly mentioned a bunch. If you watch Hellier, there are moments where you're like, these people sound fucking insane. Like, we are at that point.
We're at that point.
We sound fucking crazy.
We're sitting in the mud of insanity, just going, I'm in the mud.
Yeah, we are in the what is happening, and we are trying to. Maybe we're trying to piece together things that aren't fucking related at all.
Exactly, it's trying to do a jigsaw puzzle that maybe it's 4 puzzles,
right?
All dumped out together.
And in a year, we'll be like, oh, none of that was related to each other.
Or in 3 years.
Yeah.
Because Hellier wasn't even made in a year.
No, I know. But what I'm saying, like, is maybe we look back on this, January of 2026, and we're like, oh, the drones were not at all related to anything else. And, like, the one drone that you saw was not related to the other drone. The thing that you saw wasn't related to those. And the helicopter noise was something going on unrelated. Like, maybe we'll get to that point. But right now, because there is no information, it's also odd.
Yeah.
It feels linked.
It feels linked. It feels insane, and it feels insane to say out loud.
It does feel insane to say out loud. It was one of those, like, Chris texted us after the yoga ladies, but before a bunch more of the information about drone stuff had come out, and he was like, maybe we should do a 4th episode about the drones. Like, just find what information we can, and we talk about those. And then the more we, like, looked into it, and by we, I mean me and Chris, because Mackenzie was like, that's y'all. Mm-hmm. Which is fine. Mackenzie is not like huge. Mackenzie's not a huge UFO ufologist yet. We'll get her there. Just like we're gonna make her a little bit of a psychic, we're gonna make her a little bit of a ufologist.
I mean, I am a little bit of a ufologist.
You are a little bit. We're gonna make you more of one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna, cause like, and that was the thing is like Mackenzie was like, we can talk about the drones, and Mackenzie was like, I'll add color commentary while you guys talk about whatever information you find. But the second we started doing any, like you said, we can't find anything.
It's
and so
like,
it was like the second we start talking about it, we're gonna sound fucking crazy.
Right, because it's
so here we are.
It's almost like if you look at it, it goes away.
Which again is the shit that happened in Mothman.
Yeah.
If you
look at it too hard.
If you look at it too hard, it's either gonna change tack or it's gonna give you a lot of what you're looking for.
Yeah.
To keep you away from some other answer.
Yeah.
Which we talked about a lot in Chupacabras.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the
this is, at least for me, this is constantly on my mind. I'm like thinking about the drones and connecting the drones to anything that we're talking about, like, is constantly on my mind. It's always right there within reach to be like, I can apply this to this.
These are your goblins.
Yeah, these are my goblins.
This is your goblin. Watch Hellier if you don't understand that reference.
Like, I want to know so badly what's going on.
Yeah, what are they? What is it?
What are they? What is it?
And here's the thing. I don't like... One of the things that I had the other day when I was having this, like, sitting there, my mom had texted me another Facebook link to some Facebook post about drones.
Mm-hmm.
I sent it to Chris, and I, as a UFO person...
Yeah.
A UFO girly, if
Nerd.
you will. A UFO... Like, an aspiring ufologist. I would not call myself that yet. I'm not doing it. Like, I don't research it enough to, like, be on that track. If someone asked me a bunch about UFOs, I'm not going to have all the answers or any answers really. But I feel like I feel like my brain thinks we are feeling like people probably felt in the 60s.
Yeah.
When they were seeing weird shit in the sky, like when the huge like 50s, 60s UFO flaps were going on. We feel like those people who were like, I can't talk about this.
Right.
People are going to think I'm fucking crazy.
Right. And so we're putting this out, like, with the knowledge that, like, yeah, maybe we're gonna fucking sound crazy,
Whatever.
but, like,
don't listen to this episode if you think if you've made it this far. Clearly, you don't think we sound too crazy, or you're having a good time listening to crazy people talk. Whatever. Right. We're not insane. Like, we don't need to go to the hospital.
You know, I promise. I talk to my therapist every week. She doesn't think I'm crazy.
Yeah. I haven't talked about this to my therapist. I have not brought this up in therapy.
I'm not sure I have either. I'll tell her this week.
Okay.
We're like, hey, I'm not sure I've told you about this. However,
I might be insane.
Might be insane, but I don't think so.
I don't think so. So yeah, it's just like it's an odd thing that's going on.
It's synchronicity. Like, there's weird shit happening
that is constantly on the mind.
Yeah.
Where were we recently that we saw a star balloon?
Here, when I was living with you.
No.
No. More
recently than that. Yeah,
You and
saw
I
a
saw
bunch, right the day before you moved out. We saw a bunch of star. We
Yeah,
saw
like
3.
that,
We saw 2 silver star balloons and a blue star balloon.
Yeah.
Was it at Arts Night?
We've seen one more recently than that, because there was one in the brewery when we went to art night.
Where else have we been together?
I don't know, man. I remember seeing one recently, and I don't. Maybe it wasn't with you guys. Maybe it was with my mom. I don't know.
Right, who knows?
I've seen another one recently, and it's it's like every time I see one of those, a star balloon, I'm like, this is connected to something. Something that's happening right now is important whenever I see one of those. And so now it's the same kind of thing. Like my brain is doing that with this shit of like it's connected somehow.
Yeah.
Somehow this is connected. We sound crazy.
We sound crazy.
We sound fucking crazy.
Congrats. We are crazy people on the internet.
That's fine. I don't care. If this is our
We have
legacy.
a podcast.
We do have a podcast.
We're crazy people with a podcast.
We're crazy people with a podcast. We don't always sound crazy. We very rarely sound crazy.
I
actually.
hope we don't sound crazy all the time.
We usually don't. We usually sound like very educated, well researched individuals. Today we probably sound crazy.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Do you want to tell us what happened to you last night?
So, okay. Whenever we do these podcast weekends,
We have sleepovers.
we have sleepovers.
Yeah.
Because we call them podcast retreats, and we'll come over the
my
evening of a
house.
day, and then we'll stay the next
2 nights.
2 nights, and then we'll all leave on the
I don't.
after the. You don't leave.
I live here.
You live here.
But yeah, after the second day of recording, so usually it's like if we do it on a weekend,
Mhm.
Chris and Mackenzie come over after work on Friday. We hang out, we have dinner, we play
We prep.
games, we prep. This
Yeah,
time we
we do
prepped.
bu-
We did not
we
prep
do
last
business
time.
meeting.
We do a business meeting. And then they sleep over Friday night. We record Saturday. They sleep over Saturday night. We record Sunday.
We-
End of the
and
day
we go
Sunday.
home.
They fuck off. They go home. So this time it was different because it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Because
And Harrison
the
plays
holiday.
video games.
Yeah, Harrison is here in the house
Playing video
somewhere,
games.
or is it work, depending.
Yeah.
This time, because it was a holiday, they came over Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
They stayed over Wednesday night. We did our business meeting Wednesday on the 1st. We recorded yesterday. They both stayed over last night. And then when we are done today, Chris will fuck off. Mackenzie and Harrison won't because I'm going to Disney World tomorrow.
Disney.
And so Mackenzie and Harrison are watching our house
Yeah.
and our cat and our chickens.
So
So Chris sleeps in here.
I sleep in here.
The couch is his bed.
Yeah.
Can you be seen on Mackenzie's camera?
Yeah.
They
So-
love doing that.
This couch turns into a bed. It's a futon.
It's a futon.
And so I sleep in here whenever I sleep over. I also like it because it's the coldest room in the house.
It is the coldest room in the house.
And I like to sleep in the cold. It is so comfy. But last night, as I was fucking around, going to sleep, getting ready for bed, and like playing games on my phone was like starting to get low battery, and I was like, okay, I should probably like take my melatonin, take my meds, and like finish actually prepping for bed. And
Yeah,
so like I got
go
my
to bed.
blankies, and so I had set my phone down somewhere on the bed. And then I got the blankies, put them on the bed, and started arranging pillows so I could go to sleep. And once I had gotten a couple blankets on me, and then was like, okay, I don't think I need more blanket because it was a little warm in here after recording all day yesterday.
Yeah. You could have cracked your window.
I could have, but it was okay. Then I think it would have been too cold.
That's fair.
I would have woken up too cold.
Right.
I would have gone to bed perfect temperature,
Right.
woken up and been like,
Right. Going
it's
to
the
sleep.
Arctic.
Going to sleep cold and waking up cold are two different colds.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I'm comfy. Where's my phone? And so I started like patting blankets and like trying to figure out where my phone was. And so like it was like a solid probably 3 minutes of me going like, where's my phone? Where's my phone? Because it was also dark in here. And
Right. And these are blackout curtains, or they're not, but there's two curtains on the window. Like there's no light coming in.
Yeah.
If there are no lights on in here.
Right. And so like all of the lights are kind of like plug lights, except for like I guess this lamp right here, which is like a switch. But I didn't
Yeah.
really want to turn the light on because
This is like 11:40.
yeah, like 11:40, 11:30, 11:40.
Sarah's almost asleep. I have been asleep for over an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mackenzie's out. I was like in the about to fall asleep
Mhm.
when this was happening.
And we're all in separate rooms. We're not like
We're in yelling distance. We're on the same floor, but we're not
Yeah,
in
I'm-
the same room.
I almost screamed.
But my mom was asleep downstairs on the couch
We were
Yeah.
trying
and had to wake up at 3:00 this morning.
Right, and so I was being very quiet.
Yeah.
And I was not going to be loud.
Right. I'm very grateful that you did that. You could have come and woken me up, but I am glad that you didn't wake up the house.
Yeah.
Though he was scared enough, he could have.
I was scared enough that I almost did.
Right.
So I'm in here patting around on the bed, trying to figure out where my phone is because my glasses were off, all the lights were off, and I didn't want to turn the lights on because I'd already taken my melatonin, and then I would have had to start the process all over again because the lights are on now. Great.
Right.
And then the light turns on behind me.
This light, my blue light.
This blue light over
The
here.
blue light.
I'm faced this way,
Towards
away
the,
from the light.
Towards the spooky sign.
Yeah. They can't see the spooky sign.
I know
out here.
they can't. It's the sign to Chris's left.
The vague orange light.
Yeah, this vague orange light that you can see on my hand.
Yeah, there's a spooky season sign over there.
I was faced this way because I knew my phone was over here on this half of the bed, and so I was like patting around over here. Behind me, a blue light turns on, and I go, "What the fuck?" And so I'm frozen in fear, going, "Why'd that light turn on? How'd that light turn on? That light needs a remote to turn on."
Right. Or the press of a button on the
The
box.
box, yeah. And so I was like, I was like, maybe the remote is in the bed somehow. Maybe the remote got tangled up in a blanket somehow. Maybe Mackenzie, upon fucking with the lights, left the remote on the couch.
Right, and when we made it into a bed, it got jumbled up with stuff.
Right, and so me messing around with the blankets and like patting everything, I hit a light. I hit
Also-
the button.
Just so everybody else knows, this.
It's a finicky remote.
You have to point it at the ground.
Here's the remote. It lives on my little side table. The on-off button is this one right here. It has an LED like director, but like light.
Point it at me and click the off button.
So if I point it this way, see how nothing is
Point
happening.
it in the direction of the light, but up high. Oh, hey, it worked that time. But it doesn't work on the TV, like on the tray. If there's anything between it and the light, doesn't work. Wow, it's working way better than it used to. It's now proving us wrong because we're trying to do an experiment.
Set it on the table. Try to turn it on.
No.
Okay. So no bumping of the button
Happened.
happened. And also, if it had, it wouldn't have turned the thing on.
Right, and like those scissors were sitting on top of the remote.
Right.
Like nothing had touched it. The scissors were not moving.
Right.
And they're scissors.
Right. The scissors can't press a button. And so I sat up against the wall and was just like, shit, what's happening? And I, like, fully in this moment, I did realize I was like, whatever is here was trying to be helpful. I don't really care that it was trying to be helpful.
Yeah, it was like, I'm turning the light on because you're looking for your phone.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't care. I don't want you in here with me.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to bed. And so I was freaked out. I was
Reasonably.
concerned. And so
Chris
I,
sends us this long ass,
Yeah.
terrified Snapchat.
because I do find my phone. It was sitting on the arm of the futon bed. And it was not on the mattress. It was not in the blankets. It was sitting face down on the
arm.
arm.
The arm of the couch.
And so I saw it. I grabbed my phone. I send a message over Snapchat to these two knuckleheads. And I'm like, shit's happening. The light turned on. I didn't touch it. Nothing's touching it. I don't know what to do.
And I opened this immediately because I was awake enough that my phone was going next to my head for each, section of the Snapchat video. And I had like rolled over away from my phone and I go, what's happening? I roll over and I see, Buku video from Chris. And I was like,
We're in the same
we're in the same house. So I watch it, and the problem is I'm in that like
falling asleep. In
like
between.
I was 2 seconds away from being dead to the world, asleep.
And
Like,
after the video, Chris sends,
are you awake? He sent a "you up" text.
Yeah.
But
because he's so scared.
so I watched the whole video, sort of. Like I didn't get the whole context of it until this morning, because I was like genuinely, if you had sent that message 30 seconds later, like if it had come through an infinitesimal amount later, I would have been asleep.
Yeah.
So I watch it and I'm like, something weird. A light turned on. What weird? And then I'm like, okay. And then he goes, "Are either of y'all awake?" And I went, I was about to not be, I believe is what I said.
Yeah.
And then I went, or like, I am, but I was about to not be. And then he sent us a bunch of texts after I had promptly fallen asleep. And I want to be clear, I didn't fall asleep in like I'm not helping you. It was I too took melatonin, and that I was like, good night.
Yeah. I'll go through and I'll read what the fuck I sent y'all because like.
So then Chris sends us 7 panicked text messages.
And so dude, WTF, and then in all caps, it just flickered. I'm not touching it. It's turning itself on and off. It's flashing. I'm standing in the doorway. And so like at this point I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Cause it started flashing while I was in here. And so then I got up and I was like, I don't want to be in here anymore.
Right.
And so I went and I stood in the doorway, like back towards the room because I was like, I don't want to look at it, but I could still see the presence of the light flashing. And I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
Right.
And so then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go hide in the bathroom. I'm just gonna go to the bathroom. I'm gonna turn the light on in there. I'm just gonna like sit in the bathroom for a minute and be like,
yeah, be like, time to do some cleansing exercises and centering exercises.
Like get out of the space and logic. And so I was like, okay, maybe there was some sort of weird power surge. And then I was like, no, I did listen to the fan, and the fan never did like the weird like whenever the power like it didn't like it didn't do the like stopping and starting sound. And so I was like, okay, I don't think it was a power surge. Why was the light on? How'd the light turn on?
Right. And if there was going to be a power surge, it would be in this room. We have so much plugged in.
Right. And so at that point I was like, okay, there's a couch in the like lounge area up here.
Loft, the upstairs living room.
And so I was like, okay, maybe I sleep out there on that couch. And so I looked back into the room and I was like, that means I have to go back into the room to like get like my pillow and like a couple blankets and shit. And I really don't want to go in there. And I was like, fuck, what do I do? And so then I resolve amongst myself to like, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to unplug the light, because at that point the light had turned itself completely off. It was off. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to unplug the light so it cannot turn on again. If it turns on, I'm screaming.
Which is reasonable.
Like
reasonable if it turned back on after you unplugged it. Screaming is reasonable behavior.
Yeah. Like I would be screaming, I would be leaving. I would be getting in my car and leaving. Mm-hmm. Because like I don't live too far away from here. And so I was like, if one more fucking thing happens, I'm getting in my car, driving myself home, sleeping there for the night where I know that I'm safe. There's nothing weird going on.
Right.
Inside of my apartment at the very least.
I was about to say, you saw the thing there.
Right. But like, there wasn't a drone inside of my house.
True.
And so I was like, I will go sleep in my bed with my things, and get up in the morning and come back for recording.
Right.
If one more weird thing fucking happens.
Right.
And so I came back into the room. I go towards the light that is off. As soon as I get to...
Did I not turn the light back on?
No.
No.
Oh, okay.
You didn't. You left it off.
And so I get to just about where Mackenzie...
No, if it had turned off unexplainedly, we would not be talking. We would have been like, it's
We would
happening
have been
again.
Well, I don't
Right.
recognize it as much. So.
Right.
And so I got to just about where Mackenzie is sitting right now. Just about like where her legs are. And
Can't see, but they're here.
yeah. And so like I like had put like a knee on the futon so I could lean over
Because
to
the
try
plug
and
is under my tray.
yeah. And so I was gonna go figure out where the plugs were to unplug the light. And the light turned itself back on. I did not touch it. I did not touch the tray. I did not touch the remote. I had not touched the little dongle on the cord to turn it on and off.
Yeah, there's like a switch. It's a button.
A little button. And so I was like, I'm going to power through. I'm going to power through. Something just turn it fucking on. And so I went and I tried to turn it on and off using the button on the cord first.
Mm-hmm.
And touching the on and off button did nothing.
Which I don't know if that's related to necessarily what's going on with Chris, or if that's just
The button doesn't
the button
work.
doesn't work, because I've never tried the button. Mackenzie's going to try the button right now. The button doesn't work.
Perfect.
Good to know.
Good to know. So button doesn't work. But I'm like, whatever. And I'm unplugging it.
Yeah,
And so I unplug it. It turns off.
good.
And I then take
All of the deep breaths.
all of the deep breaths. I go back to the door, and I open the door, and
It's midnight.
I whisper, yell at the room, and I'm like, get out, whoever's in here, get out. I just want to sleep. Let me sleep. I know you were trying to be helpful. Get out of here. I didn't ask for your help. Leave. Let me sleep. And like I was angry
Right.
because like the rest of the house was asleep. I was not going to wake your mom up, who was down in the living room.
Right.
And so I was like whispering, yelling at the room to whatever the fuck was in here to get out. I was mad.
Right.
I was scared, and I was like, shit.
Right. And it's like we've talked about before. You were not in any danger.
No.
But you were having a appropriate fear response to a weird thing that was going on.
Exactly.
So you reacted appropriately. I do not feel that you did anything wrong.
Right.
Don't worry.
It was fucking scary.
Yeah.
And so then I took a bunch of melatonin because I was like, I've already taken my anti-anxiety med, and it hasn't quite kicked in yet.
More melatonin for sleep time.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna do more melatonin because I just had to like, I probably burnt through all of it.
Yeah, your brain went, you're done with that dose.
Yeah, going, that didn't work.
So this all happens. Chris goes to bed.
Yeah, fall asleep. Actually, once I was asleep, great night's sleep.
Good.
Fine.
I did.
Woke up rested.
I get all of these messages before Mackenzie does.
Yeah.
Because I wake up at 4 o'clock because my mom needs me to help her load the dogs into the car because she was taking the dogs to the kennel. So I get up. I go help my mom load the dogs into the kennel or into the car. I come back upstairs. I go, oh, right. I was getting a bunch of messages right before I went, like before I lost consciousness. I'm going to read those. So I read all of these messages. It's like 4:30 in the morning. And I go, oh, I kind of want to just go in there and just hug Chris. Just like,
Oh yeah.
And then
give him a little hug.
I did fully consider like crawling into bed with you and being like, I'm opening your door and being like, Moose, I'm getting in bed with you. Good night.
Which would be fine. It would not be the first time we've shared a bed.
Right.
And also, like, I have a theory about what was here, and it would have been like, oh, oops, sorry.
Yeah.
I did not mean to scare you.
Oopsie
I
daisies.
did not see any of these messages until I woke up at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I wake up, and I'm like, why did Christopher send us a bunch of stuff
In the middle
in
of
the
the
middle
night.
of the night? We're in the same house.
Right. Like,
Right.
she didn't see the video until this morning.
Yeah, like I didn't see any of it until this morning. So I'm like, what is happening? You know what I mean? Like I'm like, what is happening right now? And I watched the video. Harrison's asleep, so I'm like, got it turned down. So I'm like, kind of got it up to my ear,
Mhm.
going like, the fuck? And so I'm like, I want to be like, so I didn't know Sarah was up. And Sarah was in the shower when I got up. I come out of the bedroom because I had to pee. And I'm like, shit, I wonder if Chris is either
Gone.
out on the couch or gone.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Because
He would have texted us if he left.
Because
Yeah.
all I've seen is the video and then these messages, and then
And the last
nothing.
message is, if literally anything else happens, I'm either sleeping on the upstairs couch or going home until morning.
Yep.
and then nothing. So I was like, okay, let's see where Chris is, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I open the door, nobody's out on the couch, and I'm like, okay, that leaves one of two options left.
Home or went or everything was fine.
And I look over at the door, because if you open the door to the room that we're in, you can see the door to the room that I'm in.
Yeah, you can see every room.
Yeah,
And I'm
up
like,
here.
okay, the door is still shut. I feel like if he had left, the door would be
Wide open.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, so nothing else must have happened tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to the bathroom. I go back to the bedroom, wait for Harrison to finish waking up.
Mm-hmm.
Come downstairs. Sarah, as I come downstairs, comes out of the bathroom.
Yeah, my mimi's room.
And then Harrison has come down with me. And then I'm like, Sarah and I are talking because I've just watched all of this stuff.
She goes, "Did you watch the video?" And I was like, I did, but I don't remember what happened because I was
asleep.
falling asleep while
And so
I
I
was watching
was
it. So she
explaining.
recounted the video to me.
And then as I'm kind of mid recount, Christopher appears at the top of the stairs. And I went, get your booty down
Tell us what
here
happened.
and
Yeah.
tell us what happened.
And he told us
He's going to start
this.
telling us from the top of the stairs. I'm like, no, sir, all the way down.
And so he regales us with this tale.
Mm-hmm.
And I immediately clock. This is my dead brother's bedroom.
Yep.
When he was healthy, this was his bedroom. And for part of the time that he was sick, before he got paralyzed, this was his bedroom. We are upstairs. So once he got paralyzed,
there was no more
there was no
upstairs.
getting him up here. So anyway, like, this was my brother's bedroom. It's the colors that it is because he picked it. Like, those are his curtains. None of the other shit in here is my brother's. All of the decor is mine.
Yeah.
And ours, but like the paint, this was my brother's bedroom. So, and we did not release this. I'm okay talking about it now. I didn't
Okay.
want to release the content of
Right.
the Thanksgiving episode when we said, like, we got some personal stuff that we didn't want to release. We're pretty sure we accidentally channeled my brother through the Estes method. So, like, we know he's here in some regard. And 100%, like, I could see him not fully understanding how to be a ghost and trying to be helpful and just, like, turn the light on and then not really knowing how to get it to turn back off.
Yep.
And then that being why it was flickering and that kind of thing. He was like, "Oh, I'll help you find your phone." Boop. And then you're like, "Oh my God." And then he's like, "Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you." Like, trying to turn it off.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't think that it was anything bad.
No, me neither. Like, I know that whoever was there,
Right.
was
Even
trying
if it
to
wasn't
help.
my brother, it was somebody trying to just be like, "Oh, you can't find your phone?"
Oh, I'll help you.
Like-
I'll turn the light on.
And in this room, that is the only light that is easy to turn on.
yeah.
Every other light in here, like the Christmas lights, the spooky sign, the lights over there that can't be seen on any camera, the lights behind Mackenzie, are all like, you have to pick up a plug and plug it into an outlet,
Or
you have
turn
to
a knob.
turn a knob. This is just like you hit a button on a remote.
Yeah.
Um,
And like
Or
it's
on the
that
thing.
signal with the IR.
yeah, so it's not physically hard to do. There's not a lot of like steps involved, like plugging in a plug or turning a thing. So if you believe that, ghosts can manipulate stuff, that's the easiest thing to manipulate.
Right.
Would be that guy. So it makes sense that that's the light that turned on. It's also odd because it is the newest light
in the
Here.
room.
in the space. I've had that light for less than 4 days.
Right.
I bought that light
because my corner was dark.
New Year's Eve, I think. So it's odd also that it was like the newest addition to the room is the thing that lit up. But anyway, yeah, fucking weird. I'm sorry that happened.
It's fine. Just scary.
Yeah, it's startling to have a light thing happen. Big bummer that spooked you. But also, for future reference, you can always just come like, I'm scared.
I'm scared. I'm coming to bed.
I'm coming into your womb. I'm coming into bed. You could also, if you don't want to sleep in my bed, drag a bunch of cushions in there, sleep on my floor. My floor is carpeted.
Yeah.
You can also always sleep on that couch out there if you're like getting spooky. Just let us know so we don't go, there's a man.
A man.
A man on the couch. So yeah, like just a lot of, and again, it's like we were already in a weird headspace. We had talked about a bunch of weirdness yesterday. This happens every time we do these. So yeah, it was just a odd situation. And again, it's that weird, like, we sound crazy because it's like your dead brother is haunting you. Okay,
Right.
First of all, he said he would. So
Yeah.
he's just living
He
up to his
promised
promise.
he would.
Yeah.
Love you.
Much to my chagrin, he did promise that he would before he died.
He's doing a good job of it.
He's doing a great job. We love you. Please.
We do love you.
Like, I mean, I'm not going to tell you to stop.
Yeah.
Keep doing it.
Keep participating, but participate constructively. And I'm sorry I got scared, but that was fucking scary, dude.
And it was nighttime.
It was nighttime. I was going to bed.
Right. Like, there's a time and a place. And it's not when Chris is trying to go to sleep. Or when we're trying to do constructive experiments and you're not being helpful. So anyway, that's that weirdness. So yeah, I mean, I don't think that's everything you know about any of these topics, but it's everything that we have to say for today.
It's everything we currently have.
It's everything we currently know. It's everything we currently know about the weird voicemail situation, the drones.
And you know what?
Dead brother ghost. Also, if you've seen any drones, any
Let us
weird
know.
shit in the sky, let us know.
Send us Facebook posts into our email.
Email us shit if you have stuff in your like local Facebook group that's like, anyone seen these weird drones?
Or
send
like a
that to
Reddit
us.
or
anything.
anything.
Yeah, send us any of those kinds of things. We'd love to hear about it. And then, have you had any weird shit going on with your phone? Like, Andrea sent us a weird phone call story in our listeners' stories that came out, I don't know, 4 months ago now, it feels like. Anyway, like, if you've seen anything weird, if you had anything weird going on with your phone, have you had somebody, like, have you been silenced? Have you had somebody, like, try to call you and tell you something weird and your phone didn't ring through, or you didn't get the text message, or whatever? Like, something weird in that regard. Let us know. Tell us at our email. This podcast is for weirdos@gmail.com. Have you been haunted by anybody?
Are you being haunted?
Are you being haunted? Tell us about it. Even if it doesn't connect to these stories, like send us weird things that are happening, so we can constantly be updating and looking into current and active phenomena.
Yeah.
So that way we have the information and the intel. And if it's one of those things that you're like, this weird thing happened to me and I don't really know what it means, we can look into it for you.
Yeah.
Because
Or at least try.
Or at least try. Sometimes it is easier for someone who's not experiencing it to look into it, which is kind of why we sounded insane, because we were talking about the drone thing and it's actively happening like
around us
and to us. So it's happening to Chris around the three of us.
Yeah.
So it's like hard for us to really get into the nitty-gritty of it, because then it's like, oh, this is really real. So if you're having something like that's happening to you, that you're like, I don't know if I can look into this, send it to us. We'll do some research for you.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it. And if you want to if you send us an email and you're cool with us talking about it, but you don't want us to use your name, just put that at the first line of the email.
Yeah.
Like,
No name.
Like, please don't include my name. I want to remain anonymous.
We will absolutely anonymize.
Absolutely, you can be anonymous. I would love to tell stories and share information, and I understand people's wish to remain anonymous if they share this with people who they work with, who maybe not know them very well, that kind of stuff, and don't want to sound crazy at work. Thankfully for me, I don't have a job. This is the job, so no one at work thinks I'm crazy because it's you two. You both think I'm crazy, but that's different.
I mean,
We're mutually crazy.
We're mutually crazy.
the brain cell.
We have one brain
Yeah.
cell.
So it has to be crazy because we're all someone of us is crazy and we share the brain cell.
Yeah.
I think that's everything we have for today. It's not everything you need to know about it, and it's not everything that we need to know about it, but it's all that we've got.
Yep.
See you next week for something, for sure.
Yep. Thanks for listening.
This podcast is for weirdos.
Are you a weirdo?
Thursdays are for the phenomena.